Good evening, friends, and welcome to yet another awesome session of mindful living. We truly appreciate your taking out the time and joining the session today. Your joining the session today is a clear demonstration of your being a learner and being committed to improve the quality of your life. If you are a learner wanting to elevate your life to the next level, please type LE in the chat box. Please type LE in the chat box if you are a learner committed to elevating your life to the next level. Thank you, Group Captain Srikanth. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Manoj. Friends, let your responses come in. Friends, thank you for sharing your responses. Take a minute and think of one of the challenges, any one challenge that you're facing in your life, in your personal life or professional life. You don't have to share that with me, but just think of a challenge that you're facing. Just ponder over it. Don't have to share with anyone. And what I would urge you to share with us is whenever we face any challenge or problem in life, how do we feel? What are some of the words that you would use to describe how we feel when we are grappling with a challenge? How do we, any words you would like to describe how we feel when we face a challenge, or any words you would like to describe when we get the solution, how do we feel? So we are facing a challenge, we get the solution. What are the feelings which will describe, oh my God, why me? That's when disturbed, okay? Okay, thank you for sharing that. Helpless, okay, Ruchi, okay. Okay. And how do we feel when we get the solution of that? What are some of the emotions that describe how we feel when we get the solution? Relieved, happy, thankful, aha, wow, very, very high energy space, right? And there is, my teacher used to say that elated, thank you, Naval, for sharing that. My teacher used to say there is only one thing that keeps us from the problem that we are facing to the solution that we want is the knowledge of that solution. And the minute we get the solution to the problem we are facing, all the challenges that we face in our life disappear, and our life becomes very happy, we become thankful, we are in a high energy state, we feel aha, these are the emotions. And that is the reason we need a guru in our life. Guru is someone who dispels the darkness, dispels, and dispels the challenges that we are facing by throwing light on them, by providing us with the solutions that we are facing. Our session today is dedicated to celebration of Guru Purnima, which fell earlier on this week on 3rd of July. And I would like to begin this session by acknowledging my original guru, my parents, who taught me, particularly my mother, who taught me everything, from the time I was a little baby. And she continues to share her learnings and inspire me. She's a reader and she reads regularly and keeps sharing with us. So I'm blessed to have a mom like my mother who learns and teaches on an ongoing basis. And we have parents who have taught us the very basics in our life, and we are parents, depending on what life stage you are in, and we can play the role of a guru to our children and to people around us, dispelling darkness and providing light and moving people from a constricted space to a more empowered state. And I have had the benefit of having learned from many people in my life, many masters, many authors, many trainers. But there is one I would particularly like to mention today is Rhonda Byrne, whose book, The Magic, had a profound impact on my life. If you haven't read this book, I would urge you to pick it up and read it. It's a very powerful book, very transformational, and a book which provides very high ROTI, very high return on time invested. It's a simple book which makes it particularly appealing because of the busy professionals that most of us are. This takes a couple of minutes of practice every day, but has very profound impact. So I bow to Rhonda Burns, and I will also urge you to take a minute to say thank you to someone in your life who has played a role. It could be your mom, it could be a favorite teacher, it could be a trainer, coach, anyone. Take a minute. I am timing you, and send a message. Say thank you, mom, or thank you, teacher, thank you, whatever, and acknowledge the role that the teachers have played in our life. Imagine if we didn't have teachers, if we didn't have parents, what our life would have been. We would have been like animals living in jungles, nobody to teach us. So take a minute to thank the teachers and gurus and coaches and trainers you have had in your life who have shown you the way. It could be a friend, it could be a colleague, it could be a boss, anyone. And if you're comfortable, once you have done it, you can come back and type in the chat, thank you, teacher, or thank you, coach, whoever you have thanked. Gratitude is a very powerful energy, and whenever you say thank you, magic, you set in motion very powerful force of energy. Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Naval. So friends, continue sending these messages, even if you have not been able to, or make calls. And thank you, your teachers, your coaches, your gurus. So our session today is dedicated to celebrating Guru Purnima. The session today is messages from the Ascended Masters, and we have none other than Dr. Nupur talk to us about this session. Dr. Nupur does not need an introduction for those who are part of the Mindful Living community. She's the most popular speaker on our community, a specialist in oral medicine and radiology. She transitioned into mind-body medicine about 20 years ago. She's a certified mindfulness meditation teacher, specializing in techniques like medical hypnosis for subconscious mind reprogramming. She lives in London and works at an NHS hospital, offering her services to cancer and trauma patients. The work done by her is truly path-breaking and has been published and also won award. We are very happy to have you with us today, Dr. Nupur.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be on Mindful Living. Thank you for creating such a beautiful community of like-minded souls. But today's session is especially got a very, very soft corner in my heart, as I'm going to be talking about something that has informed and shaped my path, my life path, and it's something I'm very passionate about. It is being brought to you after a lot of research and I would say a decade-long interest and research into something that is so profound. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nupur. And friends, how many of you are joining a mindful living session for the first time? If you're joining a mindful living session for the first time, please type FT first time. If you're joining a mindful living session, thank you, Monica. Thank you, Padmanabhiya. So friends, for the benefit, thank you, Naval. For the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time, I would take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Ashish Kumar, and I'm the founder of Mindful Living. I started a Mindful Living community in April 2020 when the first lockdown happened in India. Few of my classmates from school reached out to me and requested me to conduct a mindfulness session for them to help them deal with the stress and anxiety that the lockdown was causing. I'm a certified mindfulness meditation teacher, And over a weekend, I conducted a session for them on mindfulness. One thing led to the other, and that group of friends has now grown to be over 3,000 people who connect every weekend to learn and practice mindfulness. In case you would like to be part of this vibrant community, please click on the link that we have shared in the chat and join the community. It's a very safe space for people to learn and practice mindfulness. Nobody judges anybody, and you benefit by sharing your thoughts. And so I invite you to join Mindful Living Community, and few groundkeeping rules before I hand over to Dr. Nupur. We will take question answer sessions towards the end, but please stay engaged, keep your cameras on, and use the reactions button to show appreciation or love if there is something that Dr. Nupur shares with you that resonates. And also, if you think this session will benefit your friends and family, please take a minute and forward the message that you received to join this workshop to 3 of your WhatsApp groups. And so we will pause here for 30 seconds, let you forward the message that you received to join this workshop in 3 of your WhatsApp groups and invite people to come in. This way, you will generate good karma for yourself and benefit, by spreading the word around for the workshop that we're doing. And on that note, welcome to you, Dr. Nupur.
Nupurji, happy morning to you.
Hello, everybody. Happy morning, sir. I have a very warm welcome to so many of you who have logged in today. Some are familiar faces, some are new faces. Well, it doesn't really matter because as this workshop is going to tell us, we are all connected. We all are a part of the same and we are connected. And it sounds cliched almost because we've heard it many times. We have heard it from many people that we are one, everything. Well, COVID taught us that at many practical levels also. But going beyond, and that's the point of this conversation today that we are holding together, is to understand that, no, the oneness is way beyond what our mind conceives to be. It is very profound and it is our reality. So on that note, I'd like to welcome you on today's webinar on messages from Ascended Masters. First of all, to really understand who these Ascended Masters are. So it'd be nice to hear from you all in the chat. So just feel free to drop in a message. If any of you have had ever a sense of a knowing, any epiphany, if you have any experiences of connecting with a higher power, something that I would say, even perhaps if any of you have had an NDE, so if you've had any experiences, any knowing, any kind of a sense that, no, there is some power here that is beyond my mind and beyond me, and not just as in as something that has been told to you by your parents or your carers or your teachers or your society, but your own heart experience that really has defined you in certain way or defined your life. So please feel free to put it down in the chat. I would love to hear from you all what have been your experiences and understand what is the kind of ground where we are right now. So there is no judgment here. Nobody is going to laugh off your experiences because that actually is what happens. I come from a medical background. I have a very left brain training, which is full of logic and reasoning and doubt, if I can say, analysis. And I would say most of you might be like that. And some of you who are like that would have not even signed up for this because you would think that, my God, it's going to be some nonsense, load of BS that is going to be discussed. It's not for me. I'm here to only hear what's the weather like, what the share market is like, what the finances are. You talk to me about that. So, if that's your bent of mind, then clearly you're in the right place also. So go ahead and share in the chat what motivated you. Is this something that intrigues you or is it something you've experienced? So as I go forward, I'll keep once in a while logging back to the chat. Messages from the Ascended Masters, and the intention is that understanding the whole realm of consciousness and what that really is all about. So we are going to be discussing and talking about certain things called Ascended Masters, understanding who they really are. What is NDE or near-death experience. What is regression? What are past lives? What do we have past lives? And what are past lives? So some of us may come from a belief and a knowing that this is not the only life that I have lived. Some of us have believed this as a concept because you've been born in religious or society which believes in this. But for just this next half an hour, I would like you to suspend all your conditioning, all your beliefs that have been handed down to you, but really tune into your heart, into your energy, and ask yourself, what do I want to believe and what rings true for me? What is my knowing? Have I lived more lives? Is this the only lifetime? What is really, who am I? What is the source of my origin? Am I just this mind? Am I just this body? Am I just this name, this title? Or something is deeper to me that really feels the reality, the foundation of my being? Well, these are the questions that I'm going to be sharing insights from my research, from my teachers that I've had the privilege of being trained in, from life itself, and from so many patients and clients that have reconfirmed all my learnings and actually shown to me that, yes, we are way more than who we think. And ascended masters who have actually are sharing these messages as we speak right now, right? So that's what I'm going to start off by sharing Dr. Brian Weiss's story with you, if I can say, for the lack of a better word. He is a prolific teacher. We are blessed to have him in this time and space reality, and he's the author of a book that I'm going to be referring to you. If you have not heard of it, please go ahead, pick it up. It's a very fascinating read. I started this journey on as one of my patients when I was still practicing, went through an experience that I'm going to be discussing with you later on. And I chanced upon, and I believe there are no coincidences. It's a synchronicity that leads us. So if you're here on this talk, trust me, it's not by any coincidence. There has been a synchronicity of universal energies that have aligned to enable you to be here on this forum today. Just as one synchronicity happened for me many years back, and I read this book. And from then on, Dr. Brian Weiss has been my teacher. Dr. Brian Weiss, for those of us who don't know him, is a professor of psychiatry. He was, in fact, the chief of psychiatry at a large hospital in the US in Miami at the point where this was, where this particular case happened for him. And then he was led to author the book, Many Lives, Many Masters. He was also heading something which we call the psychopharmacology division, understanding the impact of pharmacology, the compounds, the chemicals that can help a person in their cognition, in their ability to think, in their cognitive challenges. Things, sometimes there could be, cognitive distortions. A lot of, the whole, I would say, the whole realm of psychiatric and psychological disorders. He was trained in the clinical setup very traditionally to handle a lot of these conditions. As you may understand, he was the chief of psychiatry till a patient walked into his consulting space in the hospital. Her name was Catherine. And she was suffering from very intense anxiety, phobic fears, insomnia, and a lot of deep-seated fear-based conditions to the point that they were crippling her to perform routine life. She was working in the same hospital as Dr. Brian Weiss, and she was finding it difficult to navigate life. And after a lot of prompting and prodding from other colleagues in the hospital, she was led to see Dr. Brian Weiss. Dr. Brian Weiss used the conventional route to psychotherapy as Catherine could not swallow medication. She couldn't swallow pills because she had an intense fear of choking. And she thought that if she has a medication, she's going to choke and die. So she could not take medication. So Dr. Brian Weiss was forced to practice only traditional psychotherapy. He also did hypnotherapy with her, which is used by a lot of psychiatrists and a lot of people in helping one to overcome a lot of anxiety-based issues. Well, for 18 months, it went on, and there was very little progress. Uh, and Dr. Brian Weiss was surprised because he had seen in his many years of practice that there is at least 50%, I would say 30 to 40%, or even 50% reduction in symptoms in a patient with the kind of symptoms Catherine had. But here there was no resolution or very little to any practical benefit. And till the day when he asked Catherine in hypnosis, let's go back to a time where this particular symptom started. And lo and behold, she went through the corridors of time and space into another lifetime. And Dr. Brian Weiss couldn't wrap his head around the descriptions that she started to give in that state, because he did not believe in past lives. He did not believe in past life regression. I wouldn't say he didn't believe. He was never exposed to this. This was not his style of treatment. And also understand this was not the protocol that you would follow, because past life regression, past life so far has been considered to be a very woo-woo topic. Like, people who are considered to be very clinically trained do not kind of indulge in this, so to say, treatment or therapy. Catherine herself did not believe in past lives. She believed that she's living this lifetime, and she did not have no reason to think of other lifetimes. She did not come from that faith. She did not have those kind of conversations growing up, did not have those conversations in her. She wasn't really religious, so to speak. So she didn't attend any church as such where she would be. So both of these people are people who have no predisposed biases, if I could say, to believe this. Well, she slipped into lifetime. She started talking about lifetimes. And not just that, she started, after a few sessions of getting into these regressed states of seeing and feeling her lifetimes, started channeling messages from masters. And she would not have any recognition. When she would be awake after the session, she would not have any recognition of these memories. She also, when she was talking about these messages in a state of deep trance, her voice changed. The voice changed, her tone changed, her verbiage changed. She wasn't, so to say, Catherine. She was in a different space, and she was channeling a messages which were not they were not from her brain. They didn't belong to her life situations or life experiences. And then she went on to say that these were actually, these energies revealed themselves to be as highly evolved states, highly evolved souls who were not presently in the body. They were energetic beings, energetic vibrational frequencies that were channeling messages using Catherine as a medium, as a channel, as a funnel. And these messages that started to come through her were life-altering for her. The experiences were very profound, to the point that she started recovering from her phobic episodes, from her anxiety, panic attacks, from her insomnia within weeks. And here we had been witnessing sessions for 18 months and nothing had shifted. So this is the power. And also Dr. Brian Weiss was changing as a person, as a soul, as a clinician, because the information that was being channeled to him, he had never processed it. He had never worked along those lines. Catherine was also channeling certain key aspects of his life which she didn't know, and she had no business of knowing also. They were very private and very personal. Dr. Brian Weiss had lost a child, probably, I think it was his firstborn child, to a very rare heart condition. And then these master spirits actually said that there was a reason why this happened. And even for Catherine to know about this, that there was a child that he had lost and the reason for it, and why now he was learning from these master spirits. His father's spirit decided to come through Catherine, and giving messages for Dr. Brian Weiss. So it was, so to say, as if the rug had been pulled from beneath their feet, both Catherine's and Dr. Brian Weiss's. because things were happening which were like almost, so to say, alien for them. And the profundity of it, the impact of it was so powerful, so life-altering, that Catherine's symptoms were dissolving. That she had started not only healing, but now she was living life from a different level of conscious awareness. So what were these messages really, which I can, and this is a very short time. As I said, it's been a decade-long research for me. So it's very difficult for me to put these messages down in just one webinar. But some of the key, if I could kind of condense it and share it with you so that we all can benefit from it, is it was revealed that, there are we are conscious, we are consciousness. We are not just this physical body that we think of ourselves. And in consciousness, we have levels. Just as the way we have children, teenagers, young adults, adults, then we have elderly, and then we have, a certain point, literally that we have a child who could be in standard 5 or year 5, and we could have somebody who would be in year 10, and they would have a different level of consciousness, because not for consciousness, but they would have a different level of cognition. They think differently. A standard 10 or a class 10 student will think differently from a class 5 student. And we will never judge a class 5 student for not knowing something which a class 10 student knows, because their level of understanding is different. They're a different level altogether. Similarly, we as human beings are at different levels of conscious awareness in this lifetime. And this is what was revealed. So a lot of times when you understand that a person could be a very well-placed, adult-minded, well-read person, how could they do something like that? Well, that is because they could be very, very learned in terms of knowledge, but in terms of wisdom and in consciousness levels, they are at standard 2 or 3 in this lifetime. So a lot of times what happens is your judgments start to drop towards another human being. You become more kind and you become more compassionate. And that was the message which these masters were telling us, that, you know what, you are not human, just the body. You are a field and a force of energy. You are very powerful because you have lived through many, many lifetimes. And sometimes a person is acting out something that they don't understand completely why they're doing. So please stop judging other human beings. Be more kind, be more compassionate. They started to tell us that that's the only way to heal, whether you're healing from a physical challenge in this lifetime, or whether you are healing from a financial problem or a relationship problem. You cannot heal from them just thinking that you are this mind and this body and this person. You have to understand and take into account that most of your problems have a root in your energy, because you are more energy than matter. And they started to tell us that, you know what, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You will go through, like, literally, as they say, birthing pains. A mother goes through birthing pains to deliver a baby. So they are called essential birthing pains. And that's something very similar to us in this lifetime. A lot of us are going through very difficult challenges. We are going through a lot of pain because we have to birth into a higher level of consciousness. But we can choose. There is a concept of free will that I will talk about later. So you can either stay stuck at the level of pain and suffering, but then you have a choice to move beyond and understand that, no, there is a lesson here. There is a reason why I'm going through this. Can I look for that? Can I evolve to a high level of consciousness and make all of this my teacher? So all of these were the messages that this very profound book, and not just Many Lives, Many Masters. There's so many books that Dr. Brian Weiss has authored for us to understand. So it's one thing to know knowledge, it's one thing to know wisdom, and it's another thing to apply it in our lifetime. So how do we apply these wisdoms? So I have, as I said, been working in this space, and I'm going to come to something which we call NDEs also a little later. But in my experience of working with hypnosis, with subconscious mind, with energy field, I have, I'll just share one story with you, one case of a patient. Like Catherine had severe phobic challenges, my patient was severely claustrophobic. And I deal with a lot of patients who have to go through different kind of therapies, whether because of their health challenges or their life crisis. This particular patient was not able to go through a certain treatment because they were so claustrophobic. Claustrophobia is when you feel a sense of suffocation, intense choking and suffocation, especially in certain setups, like in a lift, or it could be in an MRI machine, or it could be anywhere, even a crowded car or a busy chalk blocked road, traffic jams, you are claustrophobic. And this person was not responding to the conventional therapies that we were doing for this patient till they started to regress back into a lifetime where they witnessed very, very clearly death due to a gas leak. And this was something very traumatic for the soul. And the person was not able to, a very clinical minded person, very left brain person, but desperate to get resolution because they were not able to move forward because of claustrophobia in life. And when this happened, as Dr. Brian Weiss has informed so much of my work, this person was able to see that very clearly. And when I say see, it's not the way you see me, I see you. There is an element of knowing. There is an element of vision, of course, but there's an element of knowingness that there was a trauma that happened. There was a reason why there was a gas leak. And this person also was literally seeing not just one incident, but how suffocated they were in their life because of the relationships they were in. The death was an eventuality, but that entire lifetime, there were episodes where they were so suffocated in their family, in their relationships with people, that they were not able to speak up. They were not able to express. They were, in fact, ridiculed and put down for speaking up for themselves. So, and eventually the death also happened with suffocation. And this lifetime, when you were reviewing this, and there's a very beautiful phenomena that when you witness the cause of your trauma, you start to heal. And this person then went into a review of that lifetime in that state and said that, yes, I physically died, but I was dying every day because I was being suffocated in that lifetime. I wasn't allowing myself to live up to my truth. I wasn't allowing myself to stand up in my power and speak up for myself. I was stifled in that family, in that relationship. And because I wasn't able to, eventually I chose almost to leave the realm and die of suffocation. But now I see that, it was, yes, traumatic, but it was also, now I see educational. It's giving me a reason to stand up for myself. I need to be able to speak my truth. And I see that, there is a lot of forgiveness that I need to practice. I need to forgive myself because there was a lot of element of self-judgment in this lifetime. In the current lifetime, this person was a very, very high achieving individual, but they were almost suffering from what we call the imposter syndrome. They didn't feel that they deserve what they deserve. And a lot of things became clear to this person through this. But the most important thing is that their claustrophobia went down drastically to the point that they could go through therapy. They could go through the treatment that they needed to go through. And that was life altering for them. Now, not all of us have had the privilege to either had an NDE, and we don't need to have an NDE, which is near-death experience, or not all of us need to go through regression. We can learn from these, and that's what I have had the benefit of putting in my work, that, understand that what is the level of consciousness that I have at this point in my time? What are my key challenges in this lifetime? Sometimes the same message, if we are not learning in this lifetime, will keep repeating as a pattern. It will keep sabotaging us again and again as the same problems, the same patterns. And unless we learn from them, we will not be able to recover from them, right? They may manifest as an illness, they may manifest as a financial problem or a relationship problem or abuse, So what is it that I'm fearing? Are my fears controlling me? Because if you're choosing to live a life out of fear, out of contraction, then we are not doing service to our soul. Right? So we will keep keep coming back into this realm, it's like literally you'll be asked to keep repeating standard 5. You will never be promoted to standard 6 because you're not learning the lessons of standard 5. So you need to now start seeing your challenges from a more wider angle. That's the whole point of doing and understanding these masters, the work of these masters, and ask yourself, where am I getting stuck in this lifetime the most? What is it? What is my vibrational frequency? Am I vibrating at the level of fear, guilt, resentment, anger, bitterness? Or am I learning to look at these things and evolve? Am I just feeling that I am a man or a woman, so this is who I am? Because as past life regression, Dr. Brian Weiss has since Catherine regressed, I would say, now he holds workshops. In fact, I have been trained by somebody who was a student of Dr. Brian Weiss himself. He has done countless regressions. And in all these regressions, it has revealed that our souls have lived multiple lifetimes, and we are not just the same sex that we are in this lifetime. Catherine herself had 84 lifetimes, if I'm not mistaken, and in different lifetimes, she was either a male energy, sometimes she was a female energy. So if this lifetime, we are very fixated on thinking like a man or a woman only, if we are living with biases that come with our sexuality, then, and we are dismissive of people of the other sex, of other race, of other religion, then that means those are our biggest challenges that we need to overcome, because these are transient. These are like literally the garments that we wear. We change our dress. We change our dress many times in the day. Even before going to bed, we wear a night suit. Our soul wears bodies and roles like that. So if we are living with prejudices and biases, then it's time for us to wake up and say, oh my God, what am I doing to myself? Because that means I'm not letting myself go to standard 6. I'm going to be stuck to standard 5 till I learn that lesson, right? So any of the challenges that we are suffering from, we are sabotaging ourselves, our pain points, our fears, we need to start changing and looking at rather from being myopic. Myopic means having a tunnel vision, only a little, this is what it is, to a more expansive space. We need to start dropping our blinkers, our tunnel vision, and go into a more expansive state of awareness and relate not to us, only ourselves, but everybody who we meet from that higher level of vibration. So the whole point is that, how do we start to evolve in our consciousness? And that's the work that's what informs my work, and that's how I now work and live my life, because this is not something that you do to others. First of all, there are no others. We are all one energy field, and we need to now feel it more than speak it. And once we start embodying this reality, that's when the miracles that we talk about start to happen in our life. And that's what actually is what I'm experiencing in my work. And for this person, imagine if they can let go of that feeling of claustrophobia. It is liberating, a person who can walk freely. And a lot of times, in fact, there was a similar patient who had very severe asthma. They were patients of asthma, and no matter what, they were born with it, right? So, there is, I can really go into a lot of details of my own experiences with that, because very privileged to have gone through these sessions with these people, and also I've had my own past life regression done, because when you're training to be one, you need to have your own also done. So the insights that have come to me, this is not something which is just an author written a book and let's forget about it. No, this is something we need to integrate in our life now. So this was past life regression, where somebody did it to somebody, and that's when the information was channeled. There is another way of this information that has come up in literatures, which is called NDEs, which is near-death experience. And it was a term coined by Dr. Raymond Moody. A near-death experience is typically when your soul leaves your body, right? You are either through an accident or through in an illness, in an anesthesia, in a recovery, or in any particular, it could be many more. Literally, you feel that you're leaving the body and your soul is hovering over your body like a helicopter. And you are literally, the patients will say that, or the people will say, pardon me for just saying patients, anybody could be going through NDE. that I was on the ceiling. I was the ceiling, and I could see my body lying down, on wherever the body was. And a lot of times they will say that I was the same person, but I was free of the pain. I was free of the agony that this body was going through, or this person that was going through. They were consciousness and they were not bodies. So again, to come to NDEs, there are thousands, perhaps lakhs of NDE accounts. A lot of times till date, it has been dismissed as a hallucination state, right? People, doctors especially, are, and because you see, if you are going through an NDE, typically you're in a medical emergency most of the times, right? And that means you have your medical team around you. You have nurses, you have paramedics, you have doctors, surgeons, anesthetists, everybody's around you. And when you are coming back to the body, these are the people who are around you again, right? So for the longest time, these experiences have been dismissed as hallucinations, and they were not heard. The people had to shy away from sharing that because they were called mad. They were called stupid. They were called that they're just discussing, revealing some weird dream-like imagination that they must have had, which is caused in hallucination. Till we started noticing something that was happening, which is a medically documented case by Anita Moorjani. Anita Moorjani had stage 4 cancer. She had lymphoma and she was dying from it. She had entered a stage which is called multi-organ system failure. She had tumors the size of a lemon, and the book that she has put it all in is Dying to Be Me. I have had the privilege of having Anita as one of my teachers now. I've done a lot of training with her as well. So I can't deny that I have a left brain part of me, which is very logic and analytical oriented. So for me, it is really important that for at least the older me, that I had to find validation in what I'm hearing. I just couldn't take anything on board till it had research, till it was validated and proved by science and ticked off. And from there, I have moved into something which is more integration of my left and right brain. But Anita Moorjani was happening in Hong Kong, which is the east of the planet. And Dr. Eben Alexander, who I'm going to be talking about to you in a moment's time, a neurosurgeon, had his NDE in the West. And these were happening almost at the same timelines. 2006 is around when Anita Moorjani had her NDE. 2008, if I could be wrong, but around about that time. 2008 is when Dr. Eben Alexander, who's a neurosurgeon, had his NDE. Now, this was very fascinating for me as a researcher who was looking back at these events maybe 10 years back. And I was like, oh my God, this is like literally universe giving us the proof in different parts of the world simultaneously that, oh my God, that this is something we need to wake up to. That we are not just this mind and body, we are energy. What Anita Moorjani experienced, again, very quickly to tell you, she didn't have a past life regression, mind you. She is dying. She's dying. Her systems are failing. She was almost on life support. People were told, her husband was told that she's not going to make it. Highly probable, you must inform the other relatives. Anita's mom and sister and brother were in India. She was in Hong Kong. Well, all of this was happening. She left her body. She started traveling as consciousness, as energy to a different realm, right? And on the journey, she started feeling more free of pain, free of disease, free of this stage 4 cancer that she was bedridden with, dying with in physical body for the last 4 years. Agony complete. And she started, she met the spirits, the energies of her father, of her best friend who had also died of cancer just a few years back. And she started realizing a lot of energetic recognitions, like messages from the masters, the light. She started experiencing something like the power of the light. There was visions, or there were messages that she was getting, that she was getting insights into why she got cancer. Where was she going wrong in this lifetime? What was she doing that was creating disease in her body? And she started to channel so much she started recognizing that the physicality had limited her perception. She was living a life of fear, of making herself very small. And the messages that she started to get and the revelation she started to get, she realized that either she has a choice to go back into that body, or she could have moved on into the light, into the realm. And if she did decide to come back into the body, she would heal rapidly, miraculously. And she is now a case history that stuns science. How could she recover from stage 4 cancer, which she had literally died from, you know? And once she decides to do that, she will need to live life from a very different perspective. And then she would be guided to spread the message. And that's exactly what she did. And she came back, she recovered within weeks. She was back. There was no trace of cancer in the months that followed, and the scientists and the doctors had no explanation. So this is, for me, who comes from the space of science and medicine, was a mind-boggling experience. And then same happened with Dr. Eben Alexander, as I'm going to tell you in a moment's time. The reason I'm giving you science is because you cannot refute it anymore. You would be wanting to wear blindfolds and say, I'm not going to believe in it, because we have no reason to not believe in it now. 50 years back, yes, I couldn't have said this to you, because I had no proof. Now there is proof. There is hardcore evidence that you are not just your name, your person, your title. You are a field of energy. You're a force of energy. You are very powerful. You have lived multiple lifetimes. We have lived multiple lifetimes. And whatever challenges you're going through in this lifetime, whether it's health, whether it's wealth, whether it's relationships, whatever it is because you are failing to see yourself in a different light. You're failing to see the challenges and embrace them. The concept of time and space, as Anita Moorjani experienced, was way different from what you and I feel right now. Time is non-linear. Time is not linear. We think of it as a linear time. Okay, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, yesterday, today, tomorrow. Well, in that space, in that realm, it's non-linear. So there is a part of our reality that comes from a non-linear space, because time and she as awareness could see her body lying in the hospital bed. She could hear the conversations that were happening between her husband and the doctor down the corridor, way outside the body, where the body was. She was simultaneously aware of the conversations her mom and her sister were having in India, which is in a different time zone, different geography altogether. She could see her brother board a flight in Bombay to come and see her. And when she woke up and she told this to everybody, people had no explanation. How could consciousness travel? That non-localization of consciousness, and how is it? So now we are realizing that, you know what, our meditation teachers, our spiritual gurus have talked about this. If you have read the book Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda talks about this. But for us, it has been an alien learning, because we think only a guru is capable of that. Only a spiritual teacher is capable of that. Me as a random person, I'm not a Buddha. How can I feel like that? But now we are being taught. So Anita Moorjani has now channeled a lot of practices for us to learn, where we can feel this timelessness, this spacelessness, this non-localization of our consciousness for us. She told us the concept of karma. She did not get cancer because she had to be punished. Karma, for a lot of people in the East, or also a lot of people in the West, you know, because we are told that if we don't worship, we will be punished. You know, if we make a sin, we will be roasted in hell, you know, or if we are going through a certain challenge, or for her it was cancer, it is because she needs to be punished, because she deserves it. Well, she completely busted and changed the way we talk about karma. And that is the new age awareness that we have to all embrace too, that my challenges in my life is not a punishment. I am not a victim. On the contrary, I am a very powerful soul, and I can do some things about my life situation. And as I do that, my life situation will also improve. See, the hard reality of our physical body dimension is that we are all terminal. We are all terminal. in this body, we are terminal. Whether we have stage 4 cancer or not, doesn't matter. We are all going to exit this reality at some point in time. So keeping that in mind, how do we work towards living a life of higher consciousness? Because we are anyways terminal, we are all going to fall off at some point from this mind and body and go back to that realm. But the whole work, the karma, the whole action, the whole life has to be lived in this realm with awareness. So all of that and the power of self-love. For Anita Moorjani, she says, she has a quote that says, love your life, love yourself like your life depends on it, because it actually does. So the whole concept of love is very different in our paradigm. Love your neighbor, love your parents, love your spouse, love your children, love your neighbors, love everybody. But nobody talks about loving thyself. It is almost blasphemous to say, oh my God, self-love, what the hell does that really mean? But for Anita Moorjani, what saved her was self-love. And what does it really mean? That is what I'm going to be talking about in a bit. So there are a lot of quotes, but then something that I found very moving for this research was that our life is a prayer. That's what Anita says. It's our gift to the universe. And we owe it to ourselves and to everybody around us to be as happy and to spread the joy and the light that we are. Again, Dr. Eben Alexander, going through being a neurosurgeon, as I said, for the longest time, NDEs were dismissed as hallucinations. But for this neurosurgeon, something happened, which was called bacterial meningitis. He went into septic shock. He literally had brain death. The part of the brain, which is called, which is the neocortex, which is responsible for imagination, dreams, thinking, analysis, had died. That part of the brain had shut. So when he slipped into a near-death experience, nobody could dismiss it because the part of the brain that we need to hallucinate or dream was missing in him. It had died in him, right? So, and then Dr. Eben Alexander again went through a very powerful NDE and he channeled very similar messages for us. Path breaking, for me at least, because I've been a researcher and I've been using these in my work now and for my life as well. Anita Moorjani, Eben Alexander, Dr. Rajiv Parthi, I could go on and on. Abraham Hicks, if any of those of you have heard of Abraham, a group of ascended master energies that is channeled by Esther and Jerry Hicks, right? Again, Abraham, ascended masters. So all of these beings who go into NDE meet these ascended masters, this light, this power of light, powerful light, energy beings that give information. And Abraham specifically talks about the power of our abundance, the concept of abundance, because in this three-dimensional paradigm, we are stuck with money. We only think money, we only think sex, we only think food, we only think addictions. You know, unfortunately or fortunately, this paradigm is a very dense paradigm. It is called the three-dimensional reality, right? Now, if I ask you to look at this, so yeah, going back to Abraham, the group that energetic ascended masters specifically tell us about abundance. What is abundance, how it can be changed for us, and how do we align with those frequencies? Because as I said, in this three-dimensional reality, it is literally like this. This picture that you're seeing, this is a trap of this lifetime that we are in. Our challenges, our day-to-day struggles, our hustles literally keeps us trapped in something like this, isn't it? So this three-dimensional reality is what we think is the only thing that exists. And that's what we live our lives. So we literally have problems. We think we are human. We find solutions at the human level. And a lot of times we are successful, but more often than not, we are not. And those same problems keep repeating because we are stuck in this dimension, thinking that I have to solve the problem as being me, this person, this role, this identity. We suffocate our lives and lives of other people thinking this is who they are, this is who I am, right? Now, these ascended masters have given us so much information, so many powerful messages and practices, mind you. They're not just giving us messages, they're also giving us practices to tell us, break free from this prison, this three-dimensional, what you're seeing on the screen right now. And they're also something very powerful that Anita Moorjani tells us is that, you know what, you are a part of a tapestry. Now, tapestry is a very beautiful word, and it could be compared to if you've seen something like a carpet or maybe a rug. You know, every thread in or perhaps a shawl or a throw, every part of that throw or that rug or that mattress is woven. Every thread has a place, and every thread is connected to other threads. That's why sometimes when you just pull one thing, the entire print falls apart, isn't it? So that's what she says, that we are all a part of that tapestry. And actually, if you look at this diagram was very fascinating to me. It felt to me like a trap, as a trap of the life that I or you may be living in. But when I started putting the teachings of these ascended masters, I realized that this is actually a part of a bigger, beautiful tapestry. So think of this as like a beautiful web, a beautiful interconnected, interlaced energy field. You know, that's actually what we are a part of. But we are looking at our lives very isolated. Just this, just me, mine, and this. But now to expand into this consciousness, to grow, to evolve, to let go of these challenges, we need to think differently. And that's why we are working on this workshop, which I have designed, Moving Beyond the Veil. It is inspired by the teachings, by my research, by the work that I have done in the last 15 years, focused on the research that I've done in the last decade for NDEs, and my own experiences of doing past life regressions and the past life regression that I've done on myself by my teachers. And what are those messages? So who should attend this workshop? Anybody who's seeking existential questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Why am I going through my patterns and sabotaging experiences of life? If you're going through intense grief, because as these beings have told us, death is not the end. But how do we embrace this? How do we really go beyond the fear of dying or the grief of the people that we have lost? Why am I suffering? What is the purpose of this suffering? Why am I not able to release this? And the challenges that keep coming to me again and again. And above all, how can I step into my power? A lot of the practices that have been given to us by these masters are connecting with the wisdom of your soul. Because if your soul has lived so many lifetimes, imagine if you were, so one of my clients was actually a farmer in one of the lifetimes, and in a very primitive tribal setting. It was a time where there were no machines. It was way beyond the Iron Age. And in this paradigm, this person had the ability to grow very beautiful vegetables for their community, because they were all community living. They were not isolated like how we are these days. So this person had this beautiful knack to grow something out of nothing, tilling the ground, tilling the soil with their bare hands and growing beautiful things. And when in this lifetime, this person was struggling with a lot of challenges. And when this lifetime was revealed to this person, what knowledge came to them, what wisdom came to them was that you have the ability to grow from your challenges, and you have the ability to find the most powerful things in adversities. There is a wisdom in your soul. There is a power in you that could grow vegetables at that point when your community was going through a starvation. There was a famine. There was almost like a time when they were dying of starvation, and this person could grow things to save that community. So, you know, so this person started feeling so much more power. They started to realize, oh my God, there is this wisdom in my soul. I didn't know I could help. I didn't know I have that power in me. So how do we integrate the wisdom of our own lifetimes to empower us to find solutions in this lifetime? And not all of us need to go through a session of past life regression. We have enough and more wisdom from these masters, from these wonderful teachers, that's exactly what we can apply in this lifetime. Even if we can go to, I would say, 25% of the wisdom available, you know what, we are ready to graduate to the next level, to level 6, standard 6 in this lifetime. So that is going to be the focus of this workshop. And this workshop is only for the people who are ready for it. I am very passionate about this work. We will be doing some very intense energy work in this as well, using the masters to channel through all of us. So I'm not going to, everybody who's a part of this workshop will be a channel. And the whole point is to understand that we have the power. We can open ourselves to receiving the guidance, to receiving those messages. I am not just going to be the conductor of the workshop. We all are going to be in that energy field where we are going to invoke that power. So reframing depth, going to the depths of the messages of the masters, releasing our patterns and blocks and creating a blueprint for our own evolution, going beyond the you and me paradigm, male and female paradigm, poor and rich paradigm, and going into the higher universal wisdom. Doing practices, as I said, to open up, access the wisdom of our soul and release. See, understand one thing, the biggest block in this lifetime, biggest reason for our health problems, whatever we have, is because we have been holding on to a lot of trash, lot of resentment, bitterness, anger, fear in our energy. And if we keep having that, it's like literally not throwing your garbage away. You decide, I'm going to store my garbage for a year and let's see. And what happens? And you're wondering, why is my home smelling bad? You can put all the incense, you can get all the aromatherapy in the world. But if the garbage is rotting in your house, no matter what you do, the energy is going to be polluted, isn't it? So what is the way of releasing that garbage? Are the practices that we're going to be doing, letting go practices, forgiveness practices, self-love practices, abundance practices that Ibrahim has given us, right? Or Anita Murjani has given us, or a lot of messages that the Ascended Masters have given to Dr. Brian Weiss. So the Moving Beyond the Veil is a 3+1 module workshop. I'll just quickly run through the modules before I hand it back to Ashish. And I'll be very happy to answer any of your questions that you may have. Decoding the messages, collapsing time and space reality, creating your reality convergence. Now, something that I have to quickly tell you guys, and this is mind-boggling again, one of my clients was a person who had a very, very difficult childhood. His father was very abusive and angry person and would beat this child up. And this person has gone ahead to be a scientist. He's a scientist of a very high order. In this present reality, the father has passed on to the higher realm, but he still gets nightmares where he's getting beaten up by the father. He starts shivering. He gets night sweats, bedwetting. I'm talking about a 55-year-old gentleman, riddled with shame and guilt right now. Knowledge-wise, credentials-wise, at the top of his game, mind-blowing work for the humanity, but crippled by these nightmares till we started working by collapsing the time and space reality. We actually went down back to the time. See, time doesn't exist the way you and I think it does. Because if you're feeling crippled by a pain, you are reliving that same trauma that happened 30 years back. We collapsed the time and space reality. We met his father at the time when he was 10 years old, beating him. He was able to say these things to his dad. He was able to ask him, why is he feeling so angry towards him? He was able to tell his dad he doesn't want this. He was able to go back to that 10-year-old child and say that I love you, I'm here to protect you. He was able to tell his dad stop, and actually one beating stopped in that vision that he had. And he did so much work. We did so much work in and forgiving his father, understanding his father's perspective, that the nightmares they stopped. It took a year, but the work happened. And in one of the dreams, after maybe 1.5 years, his dad actually, he saw the vision of his dad smiling towards him. And a smiling dad, it's something he had not seen growing up. Today, the man is free of night sweats, no bedwetting, and is over all that fear of his father. Now, this is something what we talk about, collapsing time and space reality. And then convergence. So every module has a lot of deep work that we're going to be doing in. What are the channel messages? What are the ways in implementing them in our life? What are the individual? So you'll be working at the level of masters, getting those messages. You'll be also working at your individual level in this lifetime. What are your blocks? I'll be doing some exercises that will help you to decode your own blocks and blockages. Sometimes we don't even know what we are up against, isn't it? So what is my sabotaging block? What is my pattern that's stopping me? And then how do we do the practices to access the wisdom within? We will do some meditations and practices to go beyond this reality into a very expanded space of time and space. And we will be doing a lot of work on releasing. And we will be doing some future pacing work, going ahead of, see, again, non-linear, time doesn't exist. You can step into the past, you can go into the future, you can go into the higher realms at the same time. But of course, it needs a little bit of practice and commitment and allowing yourself to open. Where did I make mistake? Am I looking at myself? What are my personality quirks in this lifetime that are keeping me stuck in my situation? Right? So all of that, a lot of inner reflection will happen, a lot of forgiveness, release to self, and then self-love. What Anita Murjani talks about. Love yourself like your life depends on it, because it actually does. Then module 3 is convergence, where we trust our abilities, we develop our sixth sense, our inner knowing, our inner wisdom, we connect with our higher selves, guardian angels, ascended masters. All of us are born with those energy beings. That's what all of these masters have told us. That's what experiences have been taught. So why do we have to fear that we are alone in this paradigm? How can we connect with ascended masters? Dr. Rajiv talked about Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael. He did have no Christian faith. He's a Hindu in this lifetime. But the ascended masters that came him to are Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael. What work Archangel Michael and Raphael have given to him to help, and in my work, how do I access these higher beings, is what we're going to be doing in module 3, accessing the abundance as Abraham talks about, again, another ascended master. So a lot of soul work is happening here, right? Just sharing some resources for those of us who are interested to know more about this. These are the books. You can take a screenshot, and a lot more books, but these are very thoroughly researched material, scientifically validated. Well, I can't say the same about Abraham, but I know it's a soul knowing that Abraham is also a very ascended energy channel to us in this time and space reality. So with that, my friends, thank you for patiently hearing me out. I'm going to hand it back to Ashish. And while I do that, any questions? Maybe I'll pick one or two right now, and more when Ashish has finished his part. So
thank you for such an awesome session, Dr. Nupur. And we have, I think you've answered most of the questions we received from people. So I think we are good with that. Nilofer, yes, we'll take one from you before we move on.
Yeah, thanks, Ashish. So my questions are more, understanding what will be sort of given to us. Practices you've already said, but if we participate, one is like how easy or difficult is it to understand those messages? How much time does it take? What are the practices? So I would like to have some information on that.
Yes, so it's a lifetime of learning. This workshop will not be the end of your learning, it will be the beginning of the learning. So we have only 4 modules, 3+1 I call it, because the fourth session is going to be a follow-up, but even in the follow-up, we're going to be doing a lot. So think of it as a 4-module workshop. And we are going to be talking about certain key existential messages that are very important, that have come in my experience with the people that I've worked in the last 10 years. And those are those messages that are helping us in our key areas, whether it's health, finances, and relationships, right? And understanding what are my blocks in this lifetime? What are my biggest saboteurs in this lifetime? What is stopping me from moving ahead? Why is the fear? So fear is one of the most profound energies that we will be working on releasing, and resentment and forgiveness. So practices will be based on that. Practices will be shared with the participants. They will be conducted, but they will also be given for you to continue on your own time. So here it's a lot of self-work. So, join only if you have if you are ready to commit to this, because this is not something that I'm going to be doing very willy-nilly. It's something this is a soul work. If you're ready for your soul, it's not about getting, it's not that I'm doing this to get a result which is tangible. A lot of it is going to be intangible energy work. So if you have the time, if you have the willingness to put in energy and time in your reflections, inner reflections, and seeing the finger is always pointing back at us. Always remember, when we have this, we have one finger to the other and there are 4 more fingers on us. So whatever challenges you are having, you have to take full and complete responsibility. I am responsible. And we are going to be doing things about saying, how can I rise from these? It's not about the other person. It's not about my life partner. It's not about my life situation. It's not about my parents. They could have abused me. They could have done anything. But today, I take full and complete responsibility. And all of that is going to be based on this.
So I understand what you're saying. My question was on how much time does it take to decode, or like, what is
As
this?
I said, Nilofer, it is up to you. It is on your soul. Your soul, if how much learning and yearning the soul needs. So the time is 1.5 hours for the workshop. But the time is, as I said, again, you're asking a very 3-dimensional question. Time is again an illusion. So it depends on you, how much you need to do, how much you need to go. I can't give a time. I can only say that the workshop is for 1.5 hours. But the time will be completely based on an individual, because I don't believe in time the way the 3-dimensional paradigm does. It's very, very personal. Thank you.
Dr. Nilofer, is your question like how much time you need to devote every day to for these practices, or how much time will it take for you to get a handle on the challenges and find the solutions?
I think, like Nupur is saying, it all depends on us, and whatever time questions are there, then there's a blanket answer to that, I guess.
Yeah. See, time doesn't, as I said, if you're stepping into this, you have to let go of the time and space concepts. And the more you do that, the more you will see time expands for us. So, I would say leave the brain behind, let the heart lead, and the answers will follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nilofer. And we have now received one question about the details of the workshop. So if it is okay for me to share the details of the workshop, please type okay in the chat box and I'll share more details about the workshop. Please type okay. Thank you, Pratibha. Thank you, Isha. Thank you, Nirmala. Thank you, Neeta. Thank you, Kalyani. Let me share the details of the workshop with you so that you can decide to move on. The dates of the workshop are 2 Thursdays and 1 Sunday, 13th, 16th, and 20th July, plus 1 bonus session, the date for which will be announced by 20th. The time on the weekdays is 9 to 10:30 p.m. and on a Sunday is 4:30 to 6 p.m. And these are the modules that Dr. Nupur spoke about. Just give me a minute. These are the resources which we will also be sharing with you over an email so that you can go through them when you have time. This is what, and the fees for the session, in case you want to drop in for a single session or gift this to someone for trying, is 3,499, and for 3 sessions and 1 bonus session, it is 5,999 rupees. And in case you would like to avail of a coaching session, one-to-one coaching session, it is 9,999 rupees. Normally, one coaching session with Dr. Nupur itself costs about £100, which is 10,000 rupees. So this offer becomes a no-brainer. For the price of one coaching session, you get the workshop free. And that is the reason this remains one of the most popular choices which people make to learn from us. And in case you would like to go ahead and enroll for the workshop, you can Google Pay or Paytm Ruchi at this number and share the screenshot with us once you have remitted the fees so that we can welcome you to the program. All these sessions will be live on Zoom like this one. So that, that is one of the reasons, because we do live sessions. The completion percentage for mindful living programs is 95%. For other programs, the completion rate is like 5% or 10%. So people sign up for the programs, but they never land up completing it. Most of them don't land up completing it. But in our case, we create a group, we create energy around it. So large number, 95% or more of the people complete and benefit from the programs that we put together. And this is one question we get asked often: what if I miss a particular session? You don't need to worry. All the sessions are recorded, and we share the recording with you promptly after the session, so that in case you've missed it because of any family or professional commitment, you can always watch the recording. And the bonus session also supports any queries that you may have, or even in the WhatsApp group, you can post your queries and get responses. This is one question that comes to us. I'm very busy right now, but when will the next one be? And our next one will be next year, because of in the calendar for 2023, we don't have the messages from Ascended Masters happening again. It will probably be around the next Guru Purnima in 2024. So if you want to wait for a year, good. Otherwise, take a decision, act now, and benefit from this. This is 3 sessions of 1.5 hours each. So that's a commitment of 4.5 hours over 10 days. So take that commitment, make that commitment to yourself for the sake of your family, and take that life, take your life to the next level. One of the questions that came to us was, I have to struggle a lot. I have to suffer a lot before I get the success. And these are the kind of challenges which will get addressed in this workshop through the practices that Dr. Nupur is going to be sharing with us. And all programs of mindful living come with a money back guarantee, because we are so solid in our content. Our content is world class. We are very, very sure that you will be 100% satisfied with the workshops that we conduct. But for some reason, if you feel this is not the right one, you change your mind after signing up for the workshop, just send us a mail, and we will refund, no questions asked. A lot of you are a part of the community. We are around 24/7 for you. We are not going anywhere. It's not like we're selling this program and running away. We are there in the community for you. And for the first time, we are introducing these very attractive, beautifully designed t-shirts for those who sign up now, for the action takers, in 3 different colors, in multiple sizes. And once you remit the fees and sign up, we will share a link for you to choose the color, to choose the size, and these will be couriered to you. So festive time is around, either for yourself or for gifting for somebody. These are very very nice t-shirts. I have seen them. I have personally met the person who makes these, and I have chosen them with a lot of love and care for you to enjoy wearing these. Very nice fabric also. So these t-shirts come to those who choose to act today and sign up for the workshop. Sharing the details of the dates once again. 3 sessions, 13th, 16th, and 20th. 2 of them are Thursdays, not surprising because it is Guruvar. This is the day of the Guru, so it has to start and finish on a Guruvar. And on Thursdays, the time is 9 to 10:30 p.m. and on a Sunday, 4:30 to 6 p.m. So 4.5 hours plus 1 bonus session, 6 hours of time commitment. Dr. Nupur, would you like to add anything to the content, to the modules quickly?
The only thing is that I would, you would need, when we start this workshop, I would really recommend people read these books, because these are the books that it's going to be an ongoing journey for you. So whatever we are doing is definitely a part, but see, this is something that will be evolving. So you will be, as Nilawar asked about time, so there will be a lot of work that will be put in on your end also, like reading these books, discussing these things in a different forum. So that's the only thing. Otherwise, I think I've covered everything I needed.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nupur. Moving on, sharing the details of the fees once again. For a single session, 3,499, 3 sessions and 1 bonus session, 5,999, and with coaching, it is 9,999 rupees. There is someone who wants to sign up. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jani. Thank you, Kujat. We will be happy to have you join as a part of the program. We have limited seats. I'll talk more about that later. So those who want to join can pay using Google Pay or Paytm or by credit card. This is a very popular option for many people. It's very convenient to swipe a card. So we are also sharing this link in the chat with you, and you can swipe your card and remit the fees. And you already are a member of the Mindful Living community. In case you are not, I would urge you to join the community to benefit from the awesome sessions we conduct every weekend from leading trainers, coaches, and business people from India and across the world. So this is a very powerful, very vibrant community. We take only limited people, as Dr. Nupur was also mentioning. This is intense work. So we limit the number of people who join us to 15. We had this workshop last weekend also, but last weekend being a long weekend, many people could not attend and they requested us to repeat the workshop. So there are a lot of people who have already joined for the workshop. So I urge you to take quick action and sign up for the workshop, and also avail your gift of a beautiful t-shirt by sharing the details once again. These are the credit card details, and some people want to remit the fees by way of a bank transfer because they are, for whatever reason, different reasons, they don't live in India or whatever, they like this. So here are our bank details, and you can remit the money. And once again, these t-shirts are waiting for you. So take action and let us know. Now we will open up the session for Q&A. Happy to hear your questions.
I just had something very profound
Yeah.
happen, Ashish, if I can share with the group.
Sure.
I have completely forgotten this. It just came to me right now. I was giving my exam in undergrad. And we have something called practical as well as theory exams. So in practical exams, you have to actually face senior doctors who are going to come to you, give you a patient and ask you questions around that. And these are external examiners. So they're not your own professors. And one of the professors it's a panel of 3. They asked me a certain question and it was not my favorite subject. And I kind of blanked out, but I noticed that my mouth was continuously talking and I was able to give answers. And these answers, they were nodding. So they were in agreement and the answers were coming. So when I had my past life regression done, this is 10 years later, and I asked one of my questions in my PLR when my teacher was doing it on me, I asked, have I ever experienced ascended masters? Because I don't remember them. And the answer that came to me, yes. That time when you were giving your exam, you would have failed that subject had this knowledge not been given to you. And I remember it, that I was not aware of those answers. Those answers were not actually of undergrad level. They were of postgrad level. But the examiners, they do these funny things to trip you up. And those answers were coming through me and they were nodding. And I actually got the second highest marks in a subject, in that particular subject that I was weak at, and I would have actually flunked had the masters not intervened. So, I mean, this is amazing. I'd forgotten all about this, but this memory just came to me that, you know what, these ascended masters are always working for us. We just need to allow them to come to us, and somehow, actually, this came to me when the t-shirts were being shown, because, it's a very sweet thing to get, in this 3-dimensional paradigm. So that was probably what triggered it. But anyways, questions, anybody has any questions?
Mr. Jani, I'm not sure if we'll be able to organize this to be couriered to you abroad, but if you have an address in India, we will be happy to have them couriered to you in India, or maybe when you're visiting next to India, we'll organize to be sent to you, but we'll keep one for you for sure.
I'm already in India now.
You're in India? Okay, I'll take the welcome. We'll take your address and we'll quickly arrange for it to be couriered to you.
Back to India from Chicago.
All right. Welcome.
I've done one course from Chicago, if you remember.
Yes, of course I remember. Of course.
You were a part of one of our workshops. Of course, we remember.
Yeah. So look. So we have about 5 minutes, and we'll be happy to have this time for you to reflect on what has been your one key takeaway from the session. anything that stands out for you, we'll be we'll be happy to hear from you. You could raise your hand using the reactions button, or you could type in the chat. Yes, Neeta.
So it's not really a feedback, but it was a query which
Yeah,
I
please.
had. Yeah. So hi Ashish, hi Nupur.
Hi,
Yes.
Neeta.
Hi. So I have as such had some experience where the universe, I had some doubts and I asked the universe, and I actually told that, yeah, if this is true, I want some signs and these signs, and I actually saw those signs. So
Wow.
I have, but then later on, when I get into the flow of life, believing this again becomes very difficult. So like me, like you, even I have that logical mind which keeps questioning that, is it this really possible? Is this? So there is a part of me which wants to believe, and then a part of me which keeps giving a reason that no, it is your whatever. And the synchronicity, seeing the numbers, I experience those. But then always I feel like, no, this is my that reticular activating system, that what I read, and it is just. So there is always the second, the other half of the brain, which is the left brain, which keeps negating. And so then
Exactly.
I'm always in a state of like, yeah, is this really something which I am experiencing, or is it something that I have read and I'm. So there've been dreams also which I have had, and which seems so real when I am sleeping, and like I want to talk, but I'm not being able to talk, but it seems so real. So
Yeah, Anita, thank you for sharing that. We all have experiences like that. And right now we are individually trying to process them, right? So we are trying to make sense of these things individually. But when something like this is offered, it becomes easier because then you're in a group. You are, so all my biggest learnings have been with my teachers when they have created these groups for us to learn from and experience them. So this is not going to be just left alone. We feel doubt. We doubt even if God is supposed incarnates in front of us, a part of our mind will doubt. That's the way our human body is made. Our human body is made for certain things which we call survival, for threat response, for negativity biases, because we wouldn't have survived we are also part of the animal, the next level of animal kingdom. We are also a species. We wouldn't have survived. But going beyond the animalistic nature, the group energy helped, right? Because that's when we realize, we learn, we experience. It's all experiential. There's no theory in this work. You will be only getting in tune with your own feeling energy aspect of life. And the reason I quote Eben Alexander, Dr. Rajiv, or Anita Moorjani is because your left brain can be silenced when you read these books. It's only for the left brain. So that's the reason I quote them, to silence that part of us.
So yes, I have read Anita Moorjani's book, and I have had friends and relatives who are like struggling with cancer, and I was like, I have such a strong feeling like I wish I could do something for them. So one of them passed away, and then I have learned some healing modalities also, but somehow that belief and trust in the process is somewhere like, I don't know, maybe with the family, everybody, mostly nobody believes it, and then they are like, so, and then for me also it becomes like, yeah, maybe it doesn't work. But yeah, I have experienced benefits from Reiki itself, so I know that there is something to it. But yeah, mostly I'm swinging between, yes, it is true,
Like
and
most of us.
goes.
Like most of us. Like most of us. And actually, death is not defeat. So even if your loved ones have passed on because of death from cancer, now messages that have come to us is to tell us that they haven't. We say that they lost to cancer. They haven't lost anything, and that's what we learn. So in fact, if you have family members who would love, if you want to get them to be a part of the workshop, great. Otherwise, you yourself learning it will be a huge help to them also, because once you change your thought process and your vibration changes, everybody gets benefited in the family. So think about joining us. Wonderful.
Yes, I have joined.
Oh, you have already. Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Great. Lovely.
she's opted for the coaching. So thank you, Neeta, for that. And so friends, we have another minute. Any quick sharing, any takeaways, and we'll be happy to hear from you either in the chat or you could raise your hand and share. Yes, Group Captain Srikanth.
Yeah, thanks a ton. And Guru Purnima week, I would like to, personally face-to-face today to Dr. Nupur and you and your team, express my heartfelt gratitudes for all the, learnings that I have gained from you. Thanks a ton. Wish you all good luck and wish good luck to me as well. Thanks a ton.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All
And
the
on that,
blessings.
yeah. Thank you, Dr. Nupur. Thank you, Group Captain Srikanth. And on that beautiful note, we bring the session to a close now. The recording will be shared with everybody over, on the email that you have shared with us, on the phone number that you have shared with us, and in case you're part of the Mindful Living community in the groups also. So please watch the recording, share your comments with us, spread the word to your friends, and consider joining the workshop and take your life to a completely different level. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless.
Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And you can unmute yourself and make some noise on your way out.
Oh, yay. That's great.
Beautiful. Lovely.
Looking forward.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Wow, that
Thank
was
you.
lovely.